Yeah, recorded.
Yep. I think that's our favorite line is "Bye, Craig," or at least that's mine. But
Yeah,
I think now recording is your line.
not recording.
Except you never say it like that though. You always like now recording.
Well, I'm mocking Craig because he doesn't say
do
anything
Yeah.
except now recording.
Yep.
The only words I ever heard out of his mouth. Now recording. Yeah, well, we beat him and we left him on that weird prison without any walls. Just like the giant endless pit where there's also against the wall. There's just a little bit of real estate to basically perch yourself, but you can't leave it forever, and
It's like
you can't jump the
yeah,
pit.
a nice little plane of torment. Huh.
Yeah.
Actually, that's not a terrible idea. I know there is a plane of torment.
Yeah, it's called the Wizards of the Coast Twitter feed.
Well, it's called Twitter, or excuse me, X.
X. Well, I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher. This is Grumpy Dungeon Master Jay, and we're full of surprises today. We both have something that we're going to surprise and throw on the other person out of the blue. And but before we get into that,
and we actually haven't talked about it before time, so we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how this shit goes.
So I want to talk about the fun issue that crept up over the weekend. That basically got the internet enraged and caused.
That's not hard.
Yeah, I know. But the internet enraged from the nerd population, and basically it's another AI art issue. This time though, I don't think the people that are complaining honestly have legs to stand on. Like, it's really dumb. Okay, so here are what I know of as the facts currently. Okay, they're coming out with a new set of Ravenica Remastered.
Ravnica.
Okay? Ravenica Remastered.
Ugh.
And the cards themselves have no AI art done to them at all. Okay? So they're still using actual artists to make the actual card. So it's not like the physical product is being modified with AI art. And because a lot of the artists in WotC do a lot of the D&D work, and they just fired a good chunk of their artists anyways. Last year, in the last quarter, they were actually hiring people to basically do checks on art to make sure that it would fit, their style and everything like that. They were hiring specifically for that position. But in this case, the issue is that an advertisement made by a third-party company contained AI art in the advertising that was made. Okay? And specifically, it's over the Shocklands and in the retro art frames. There's a picture of basically all the Shocklands and the retro art frame cards on a table, and around them was like this weird alchemic situation. Now, people tore that image apart and said that it was AI generated. And then WotC put their, drew a line and says, no, it's not. None of our stuff is AI art anymore. Probably referring to the fact that they put out the statement years ago, at this point in time, saying, hey, we're not going to use AI art for any of our cards or products.
That was like 6 months ago.
Well, whatever. But not even thinking that the advertising, not even applying that to advertising, they took a stance of like, no, wait, we don't have AI art anything. We don't do any AI art stuff.
Right.
Not even thinking that this other company may have used AI art. And because they said that, and people are started pointing out all the AI art mishaps in this one picture frame, people lost their collective mind and called them out. So they had to backtrack and put out a tweet or some shit. I don't know what it's called now. About how
it's a tweet. It will always be a tweet.
Right. About how, like, they're not going to, they're going to make sure to qualify their statements now and update their contracts to say that companies they hire can't use AI art and the stuff they deliver them. I feel like this got blown out of proportion. Like,
sure, yeah.
I get it. You don't want AI art at all, okay? my desktop wallpaper is an AI art, and I think it's beautiful. It's like a tree of life. Okay, there is some artists are taking with AI art to make things look good. Okay, um, and the fact that they basically hired a third party company to basically make this background image to put the cards in there, and just called it a day, and didn't even think about it. It probably didn't cross their minds at all. The person that probably would double check that probably got fired in December, right before the holidays.
Most likely, yeah.
So it just, I don't think the artists needed to quit. The few that were left behind, a bunch of well-known Magic the Gathering artists have left the WotC and basically said they would not take work from them any longer.
Did they leave because of the AI art, or just because of how WotC treats them?
Well, they left because there was AI art, and they denied that there was AI art in the image. But again, this isn't like a product they're selling. This is an advertisement that was used. It's not on the cards. It's not on a product they're selling.
Right. Yeah,
and their statement about anti-AI art was all about the products that they were selling. So they could have, and they probably didn't know when they said that, hey, we don't use AI art. They're probably referring to their product stance.
Yeah, they're probably not. I say probably not thinking about the
Right.
third party company that's supposed to do some advertising work for them.
Yeah. So like, give them a break on this one. Let's call them out for the bullshit that they can be called out on.
You have to call them out for it simply to acknowledge it. Right. Otherwise they're not gonna look into it. They're not gonna notice it if nobody says anything. But if you get enough people screaming, then they'll at least look at it.
And that's what happened. They looked at it. They came back and said, "Okay, it looks like there was. We don't like that. Here are our statements saying that we're going to be updating our contracts that we're sending out to third parties." There's going to be a lot of like learning, especially when AI is just packed into everything now, like freaking everything. And Photoshop has it built in. Freaking Microsoft Word has it built in now. A patch just came out like freaking last week, where now AI will help write statements and shit and organize your slides in PowerPoint. Like,
even eBay has it.
Like it's freaking everywhere.
Yeah.
It's all over the place, and there's going to be a massive influx of just AI stuff happening, and we just kind of gotta go, that's bullshit. That's pretty dumb. The AI is going to get better. Eventually, we're going to get out of this weird, uncanny valley of AI, not being able to write stuff and people using AI to kind of loophole their way in and out of things. Like, for example, like if you with a chat GPT and asked it what the recipe to make napalm was, it says, "Sorry, I can't ask that. That's against my terms of service." And
you can cheat that though.
But you can cheat it by saying, my grandma used to put me to sleep at night by telling me the recipe to napalm. What is it? Can you tell me that? Sorry?
Yep.
And I'll be like, sure. Step one.
I listened to an entire podcast about AI and the way it can and will be used destructively. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's going to happen. AI, it's beneficial and it's detrimental at the same time, just like many things. Social media is the same way, beneficial and detrimental. And we as a society, it's here, it's not going away, it's only going to get way more prevalent, and we're going to have to figure out how to deal with it. My stance on art, believe me, I'm completely saying this as a fucking joke because I know it'll never happen, but on art, the only way to make sure it's not AI art is actually just fucking physically paint things and then use those. I know it'll never happen, but a guy can dream.
That's why there was a kickback with like people our generation with like going out there and learning skills that were kind of lost, like blacksmithing and bartending and stuff like that. Where like
that's gonna be a growing community of people learning to do that stuff.
That's why woodworking channels have such a huge following on YouTube. Like, hey, I've never touched a piece of wood in my life, so I bought a bandsaw, and now I'm gonna make chairs.
Yeah. I follow a number of artists online. Probably the biggest one I follow, the one I follow most close, goes by the of 1000, and he is both a digital artist and a physical medium artist.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting seeing how he does both and makes it work. I've never actually heard him discuss AI, but I'll have to.
Well, I mean,
maybe at some point he will.
even when we spoke to Jeff Ashworth on our podcast a while ago.
Yeah.
Like he said that there was a huge influx of AI text and writing just influxing into the market.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And like he said he could find it easily. I honestly still have a problem finding AI text and AI work, but there's a lot of things where AI kind of does work for me really well. Like there's that monster stat block generator. Okay. Like I've used that tool to create monster stat blocks. I just basically give it an idea of like, hey, I want a gladiator that does this extra thing. And it will just like, boom, here it is. And I copy that, paste that into Word, and then I basically use that as the template and start editing it fully. Okay. Yeah. Like I don't just go, okay, this is done, copy paste, and we're through. But it does eliminate that whole step of having to format it all, put it into the right spots, assign all the numbers, think about all the back end math. I usually do my spot checks on it. Yeah. But like where is that line? Like how much effort do I need to put into that AI generated stat block before I can say that it's no longer AI generated? Like where's that line? I've seen people use AI to take a stat block and format it automatically. AI formatting, essentially. So like, does that count? Like, what does now that I use AI formatting, does the monster that created no longer have any, use at all whatsoever because I used AI to format it? Like, where's that line? Like, what is acceptable? What is not? And probably there's no answer to this. We have to kind of like fumble our way through that.
I think for a company, you can find that line a lot easier. For personal use, it's going to be on the individual.
Yeah.
Like companies, WotC has already very quickly figured out where the people who buy their products, where that, core group's line is at. They don't want AI art. That's been very obvious.
Yeah.
They've been very vocal about it. Same thing for the writing of D&D stuff. So that company could very easily figure out where their line is. For other companies, it may vary just based upon who's buying their stuff.
Yeah, and my whole point is that you're not going to know after a while.
It's all going to blend together, and AI is going to win.
It's all going to blend together. AI is going to win. It's all about people who are using those tools and can use it good enough not to hide it, but to basically blend it into their structure, where it becomes a seamless step. I am perfectly fine with using AI to format things easily for me. Is that the final step in the product? No, because it still needs to be combed through. You still need to have that person who uses the proper tool, like what was it, Adobe Insight, or whatever. It does Adobe InDesign that actually makes the PDFs readable and presentable. AI can only go so far, no matter how good it gets. You're still going to have that person. Well, for now, but when you start adding in particular art styles and whatnot, it's not going to know what to do. You could probably present it, say, "Hey, this is the exact style that I want you to do," and you copy it over, kind of like how the Core to Crew people did their live action and anime adaptation. That looks fantastic, and if that's their first stab at the dark of AI animation, like, holy crap, that's going to be great sooner or later.
Yeah.
I mean, look at Wish. Wish has been rumored that that entire movie was AI generated, and
yeah, I doubt
that. But at the same time, it's like, well, it does seem like the AI wrote that script because that movie's terrible.
I mean, maybe that is why it did like 30 million or something at the box office. It just fucking bombed horribly.
Listen, if you were a company as big as Disney celebrating your centennial anniversary, and that's the movie you put out to celebrate it,
Yeah.
you failed. The
Yeah,
fact that you didn't
deserve to fail like that.
The fact that you didn't put out a Mickey Mouse movie is just bananas to me. Like, why would you not put out a movie featuring your company's mascot and like a mind-bending kind of reintroduction to the collective zeitgeist of culture?
Fantasia 2023.
Not even that. Like, you could call it Fantasia 100. Like anything. You could have done anything else. And that's what they came out
Well,
with.
that's because they have people running that company who don't know what the hell they're doing at this point. They haven't. They had to get Bob Iger back in there just to try to stem the bleeding, and even he's failed miserably at it at this point. So,
Oh, I hope they don't listen to my podcast and kick me out when I show up there later this month.
Yeah, they'll send the mouse after you, man.
Haha, talking shit about us? Haha, haha.
We're gonna break your kneecaps.
I own you now.
Yeah, I love a lot of the Disney products, but Disney as a company is kind of garbage, just like Hasbro. Interesting thing, I did find out that recently, with the new D&D 5.5 coming out in May, I think it is. Apparently, WotC has hired on a lot of Paizo employees.
Ooh.
Yeah, I would assume this was before the mass firing, but they've been taking on Paizo employees, which leads me to believe that they are going to, obviously they're not changing D&D 5.5 that much, but they might actually, get some input and maybe start taking some ideas from what Paizo's been doing, because Paizo's been fucking killing it.
Yeah.
And a lot of that is their book release structure, because WotC for several years now has been like, you get 2 module adventures a year, and you get one that's a compilation of a whole bunch of little modules, and then you get like one actual book. The 4 book a year thing. It's pretty well failed miserably. Whereas Paizo, on the other hand, is really, I don't know how many they're releasing a year. It might only be, it's probably 4 to 6, I think. But you're getting little chunks of modules, and you're actually getting books that DMs will buy, that players will buy. If you're only releasing module adventures, like, only one person needs to buy that. You just need whoever's running the damn game to have it.
Yeah.
But if you're releasing books that have other classes and feats and spells and all that stuff, then you will get, if it's a group of 6, you're going to get 2 to 3 people that are going to buy that at least.
Right.
So, I don't know that they're going to go that route, but if they're taking on a bunch of Paizo folks, that is certainly leaning in that direction, it seems.
I think that the big thing for them is basically start doing what they're kind of doing now with D&D Beyond, where they have licensed out with other creators to put source books in their D&D Beyond catalog. So now I'm looking at the Dungeons of Drakenheim and Layers of Etharis. Now that they're there on D&D Beyond, okay, they're going to be easier for me to acquire those and look at those and possibly run those. But I kind of also want to have the, not the published or created by D&D stamp, but just like, hey, take these books, throw your symbols on it, throw your ads on it, call it, the crafted within Dungeons and Dragons, or, just published by Dungeons and Dragons, and start a new line of third-party content that's not handled by anyone at WotC, but just approved and rubber stamped.
Mm-hmm.
And let me buy the books that way.
Yeah. And I mean, we both know that they're not leaning towards physical media in the future. That is not their end goal.
Right.
But that's not going away anytime soon. As long as you have people playing D&D, there's going to be physical media. Damn, I forgot where I was going with this.
Well, speaking of physical products, I was actually at our game store today, and I picked up, I showed this off on stream, but but I have in here right next to me the collector's edition of the Planescape, which I am not going to open or take the plastic off. I'm just going to stare at the lady and wonder what the hell she is. And I'm going to save this forever, and I'm going to sell it for $1,000 in 25 years.
Yeah, I doubt that.
I also got the collector's edition of the book, the Deck of Many Things.
Yep.
So now I have both collector's editions for that, because I want to support my local game store, and this is the only copy they get.
They only get one, so they only get one collector's copy of things?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's, they have two stores, so they technically get two, I think.
A copy per store, yeah.
Yeah. But it's kind of shitty that if they're moving away from these collector's editions, man, I feel really bad, because they always look very nice, and I do like them. I'm going to open up the non-collector's edition version of the Deck of Many Things to take a look at it here, probably over this week, so I can have a good opinion about it for the next podcast.
Yeah,
that's been up on D&D Beyond now for about a month, and when I looked through it, it was just it's stuff.
Yeah, the only collector's edition I had was the Volo's Guide, and I finally got rid of it recently because it's worth it's worth a good bit of money.
Yeah,
and I'm not doing anything with 5e at all, so it's just at this point it's just stuff sitting on my shelf. However, I did run the Kobold alone. I did run that with 5e, and I actually didn't even need the fucking player's handbook to run it.
Well, yeah.
Because we all know the rules, after everybody makes their characters, didn't really need the book.
That's true. I mean, that's what I like. I've gotten so comfortable with 5e that I don't really need to have the rules at all to reference them,
Yeah. We did have a couple of players' handbooks at the table just for spellcasters, because sometimes you do have to look little things up like that. But
fucking spellcasters with their spells try to make you.
Yeah, now mind you, I am talking about a literal first level game. So, once you start getting a few levels and you start getting some class abilities, okay, you need to reference those.
Wait, what spells at first level are confusing that you need a book for? It's just magic missiles and shield and silvery barbs.
Well, just assume somebody took sleep. You have to know exactly how many hit points worth it can put to sleep.
3d8.
See, I didn't know that. But I don't keep up with that kind of stuff. I look it up if I need it. My brain I still have older editions stuck in my head. It used to be 25. It used to be 25 hit points worth. Is it? See, you didn't even get it right. Yeah, but older editions, it was just a set value. It was like 25 hit points worth.
So, I'm gonna spring my thing on you.
All right, now. Good. Go for it.
Yeah, you ready?
Yep.
How'd your Dungeon 23 work out for you?
Oh, that's not springing it on me. You know how that worked out. I got maybe 24 rooms done. How'd yours work out?
I got 0 done.
What? You didn't do any?
I was drawing a map, and that was about it, and kind of just stopped.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
See, I wasn't doing a map. I was just doing rooms.
Well, the Dungeon 23 is doing a Dungeon 24 essentially, same concept, just
of course,
a room a day, and I won't be able to do that, in particular, because it's just way too much work. But I do have things that I know I need to get written, so we were doing a chore chart last weekend. And I put on there, all right, D24 is one of my daily chores. I gotta write D&D every single day and just get better at it.
If you can manage 10 minutes a day, 5 days a week, then that's good. It's hard. I know that's difficult, but
doing a daily thing is just adding something like that just into what I need to do. It's just so hard. This scheduling and discipline, man, just 2 skills I had never mastered
at all
whatsoever. And if you're an employer listening to me, I am always on time with all my work. It's a weird conundrum. I don't know why.
It's one thing when you know your entire livelihood depends upon it, and another when it does not.
Like, I honestly just don't like. I know that's probably what the fact is, but like when I go to work and they're like, okay, you have these reports due, this manual due, you have to write this, and you have to process 1,000 records. Okay, all right, I'm done within like 4 days, and like, all right, cool. Friday has nothing. But then
Yeah.
like you asked me to sit down for 10 minutes. Fuck, just I need you to walk around the block once a day.
Yeah.
I can't fit that into my schedule. No, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, that I have to say, at least as far as that goes, I'm pretty good about that. The physical exercise portion of, or at least walking, not
Well,
lifting, not doing all the running, but actually walking. I'm pretty good at getting that in. But anything else, oh man,
so I want to do D24. I really do. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
I
Already
wish.
7 days into it. I was gonna bring it up last week in our when we had Bill and Jay on and like have an intervention with you about how you've just failed miserably to do D23. But
Yeah, you did as well. So you did worse than I did.
yeah, I did do
Um,
worse.
and as much as I would love to help you with doing this alongside of you, because I know it's a lot easier when you have somebody else saying we got to do this today. I'm not going to have the time. I'm not going to be able to, because I'm going to go ahead and spring my thing on you. I have actually created my own tabletop role playing game, and I've got a lot of work into it, and there's still a lot more to be done.
So you created your own tabletop game, Mister. I don't write anything down.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Yes, I have. I actually ran the first session of it last night, and
So go on and explain to us what the system is.
I am not going to.
Aww.
I will not describe it on air. Not until, yeah, not until it's legally bound, so that people can't fucking steal my work.
Well, you can't copyright rule set legally.
Not rule set, no, but there's things in there that can be copyright. Yeah. So until I've got that cleared, I'm not going to discuss much about it on air. One thing I did want to talk about that kind of came up last night is the initiative system, and I won't go
Mm-hmm.
into all the little minute details, but it's a low numbered system. So like in D&D, oh, I'm on initiative 24 or whatever. And then you're like, as the DM, all right, who's on 23, 22, 20, who's next? Just who the fuck is next?
Mm-hmm.
So I've created a system that's basically a much, much lower number scale, which also causes a lot of people to go on the same initiatives. So within the rules system, it's basically if all the players are on the same initiative, then they get to decide amongst themselves who goes when.
Mm-hmm.
If the DM is on the same initiative as a player, the DM just goes after the players. Because it's fair. The DM can always do whatever the fuck they want anyway, so you just go last.
Okay.
But what came up was an interesting concept one of my players threw at me, because you have so many people going on the same initiatives. Why not just let everybody sort of determine when and how they're going to go? So if player A wants to move up 10 feet and hand this item to player B, they can move up 10 feet, hand it off, let player B take their action or part of their action, and then player A finishes whatever they wanted to do, rather than breaking it up as player A has to do all of their stuff, then player B has to do all of their stuff.
Right.
And
So you're going for a more um shit, what's the term
more
for that?
dynamic,
Not
I guess.
dynamic, but a more same thing that the MCDM is doing.
Oh, are
Where
they?
it's a more narrative driven system where
Not really. It's
you're
a
not you're not really bound by turns per se, but like you just said, you wanted to run up and do something and then run away and do something else. It happens,
no.
as the players say it, not
There are
as.
no. This system, there are heavy rules in place on how to do everything. Like
What I'm saying is, it's that if I need to run up and close a door, okay,
yeah,
and that's the first thing we need done, okay, the system is narrative that okay, I run up and close the door. and they're like, shit, what do we do now? And then someone else does something, someone else does something. You know, your turns are narratively driven if they're all happening at the same time.
They're not. They actually are not in my system, though. That's what I'm explaining. My system has very structured rules on how you can do actions.
Okay.
But if a player wanted to just think in terms, just think Pathfinder. Say you have 3 actions that you can take in a round, and say you wanted to take your first action to move up and give this guy a thing, and then rather than take your next 2 actions, that other player can then take their 2 or 3 actions, and then you can come back and finish your last 2 actions.
Right.
And my thought on that was, at my table, my own personal table, that'll work fine because all my players work great together, and we actually played it that way last night, and it worked perfectly. But if you try to do something like that where people can just sort of take part of their turn and then finish their turn later, that's not going to work with random people, because you're going to end up with infighting. I need to be here. Well, I need to stand in that place. Well, I have to be in that location. Like people, you'll end up with a shit show at some point, just because human nature. I want to take my turn. Fuck you.
Yeah. I mean, that's why D&D's written the way it is.
Yeah. So I'll keep it the way I originally have it written, whereas one player takes their turn, the next player takes their turn, third place person takes their turn. I'll keep it written that way, but I probably will write in a variant rule where if you want to split up turns, fucking go for it.
So with initiative, how's initiative rolled?
The entire system is a D10 system. So you're going to roll a number of D10s equal to your initiative score, basically. And it works kind of like the old White Wolf system where you're looking for a number of successes. So imagine if 7 or higher is a successful roll. So then you've got a four dice initiative. So you roll 4 dice for every 7 or better, it's a success.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the basis of the system. So for initiative, if you get 2 successes, you're going on initiative 2. If somebody else gets 3 successes, they're going on initiative 3.
What gives you more initiative die?
The initiative score, and there's classes will have it. Rogues already have a thing where they can get a couple extra initiative dice. There are talents, aka feats, that you can purchase that will be able to add more. You can also increase your stats in a much easier way than say D&D. D&D, to increase your stat, well, shit, I've got to find this legendary book, or I have to wear this pair of gloves. In the system I'm running, you can just spend experience to increase those stats.
Okay. I was talking with somebody. I can't remember where it was. It was sometime at the game store where I brought up the fact that I didn't like the fact that dexterity was always the base score for initiative, which makes no sense to me.
Yeah.
Because if you're talking about dexterity, just how, I guess, nimbly you can move around, that's not always what causes, someone to be ready to attack or not. I think perception...
Pathfinder's much better in that.
Yeah.
Pathfinder
actually works better.
Pathfinder actually uses perception as your primary initiative stat. Sometimes it will use other stuff. If you are stealthed, then you could use your stealth roll as your initiative roll. But in general, it's going to be perception most of the time, which just makes more sense. It's just paying attention.
Yeah. And then, I can attest to, when we LARP, sometimes it doesn't matter if I perceive something coming at me, it's dexterity based.
Sometimes.
Then sometimes, if it's on Sunday, it's constitution based. It's neither dex or perception. Just I gotta stand up. No, I ain't standing up. My move is 0. I am sitting on this stump, and I'm just gonna attack it if it comes close.
Yep. No, we've all, any of us who've been to that LARP, we all know that fucking feeling. Know it all too well.
So that's something I would like to see. I'd like to see an initiative system that was flexible,
Yeah.
Where sometimes you would have it be a group perception-based check to roll initiative. Sometimes it would be Dex. Sometimes it should be Con. If you've been marching all day,
Yeah.
that's not perception or Dex. That's Con. That's how quickly you can go, okay, am I recovered from this?
It's not even Con so much as willpower.
Yeah. I mean, willpower could be another one, too.
Yeah.
You know, we're not all John Wick.
Oh, God, yeah. He never gets tired. Well, he's always tired, actually, just always. But he just has willpower that never ends.
Yeah, that trope, I don't want to see anymore. I've seen enough of it that I don't want to see the unstoppable killer through sheer force of will. I know there's not a lot of it, mainly just John Wick. But if you watch the Netflix show Blue-Eyed Samurai, that hero's the same exact thing too.
Isn't that literally what every anime is? Like Bleach, Dragon Ball. I don't know. That's the only ones I really know.
Not always. Taking like One Piece for example.
What do they call that? I think that's isekai.
One Piece is the main character is fueled by determination, which is close to willpower, but I would
same idea. Yeah,
same idea. But the anime does do that trope a lot, but it's a little bit more acceptable there. I just don't want to see any more of it in our current media. Like I don't want to see John Wick clones everywhere. And after watching Blue-Eyed Samurai, I really like the show. I highly suggest the show, but I need a little bit more realism to the damage they are taking in retrospect to, you know, how fueled they are with rage to kind of move forward and be unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like, I don't mind it. Fucking Hulk's my favorite comic book character, so I understand the idea of being enraged and not stopping. But the sheer force of will that just keeps driving you forward, just like I'm done with it. You just got stabbed through the heart. You can't will that back shut, you know?
In an anime you can.
In an anime you can. If you're John Wick, you can. You know, if you're the doomed space marine, then nothing kills you. But, you know, I'm fine with the trope. I don't want it to take over everything, and I fear that's where a lot of tabletop stuff is gonna move to with
it already has. It did a long time ago.
Not really. Like right now,
third edition it started.
Well, D&D right now just has really the zealot barbarian that doesn't die, and I've seen a lot of people that have been putting out, let's just say, homebrew that kind of basically makes John Wick as a rogue in D&D, and just like your guy is unkillable when you give him 2 reactions in a turn to reduce damage, and then once he gets to 0 hit points, he has a free automatic death save failure because he's just so much willpower based. If he makes
and then you make him a half orc.
Yeah, I see it creeping in, you know, and I'm just like, it works where it works.
Yeah,
you can't just apply that formula to every fucking class that's out there.
I've always felt like 5e in general just is that, because you know you just don't die in that game. It's so fucking hard to actually die in 5e unless they're playing under you.
I was about to say, I played a game this weekend. I almost killed the monk.
Of course, yeah. But I spent years running 5e, and I would occasionally kill a player, but man, it wasn't often.
My team, they came out of the Feywild, and they're like 3 months in the future now. And I was like, okay, we haven't played in 2 months, so I'll have them fight a giant monster, a standard giant monster, and then we'll have an encounter with them getting into Waterdeep, how they bluff their way in, or steal their way in, or fight their way in. And then there's going to be them being ambushed by the bad guys that have taken over Waterdeep, essentially. Yep. And so they're walking down the road. I was like, hey, do you guys want to get some horses? And they're like, no, we don't need horses. It's only a 3-day walk to Waterdeep. We don't need horses. Are you guys sure you don't want to buy any horses on the way there? And they're like, nah, yeah, we're good. They took a long rest. I was like, hey, you're in a town known for really good horses. You guys want to buy a horse? And they're like, no, we don't need a horse. It's like, damn it. All right, well, you guys are walking down the road, and then a monstrous Periton just shows up out of nowhere. It's going to eat you all in particular because there are no horses.
Yeah. He wanted to eat your horse, but now you and your liver are now dinner.
And I didn't want to kill Patches the donkey because I love Patches.
Yeah, it's Patches. You don't want to kill Patches. Plus, donkey meat does not taste as good as dwarf.
So there is a stat block for a monstrous Periton in 5e base. It's a legendary giant creature that's a CR11. It's not that it's hard to kill. It's only got like 144, 150 hit points. It's just that it has flyby, and it should be able to get away whenever it wants. So and this one did get away. I did the whole thing where I knocked somebody down and I started flying away with them in my talons so I could eat them. I
mean, that's what you're supposed to do. Yeah.
But they were able to bloody it and kind of like get it to drop the person. So, I almost killed a player. He took one death save failure from being dropped by the Periton onto the ground. And then he basically had his death save roll. And if he would have rolled a 1, he would have died. Yeah. Which doesn't sound like much, but
I've seen it happen.
Yeah. Being this is the first campaign back, none of my players were rolling above a 9. My wife rolled 2 1s back to back for different skill checks. And,
that's rough.
And the one guy, he was doing a bunch of checks, and he rolled... the end result value was 13, so I think he rolled like 2 9s back to back. And then he rolled, again, 2 9s on advantage.
Oh, that's the worst.
That's the worst, isn't it?
Actually, 2 1s on advantage is the fucking worst. But yeah, right. 2 9s is still shit.
And then like I'm doing the encounter with the rogues later, and I have a gladiator, which is like one of my favorite monsters in 5e. And I have a bunch of just like bandits and a bandit captain, and they're fighting the 3 guys, and it's a hard encounter, but it's one of those things where like I throw hard encounters at my players when I know that's the only thing they're going to do that day to give them a little bit of a challenge, because if I make it medium, they're just going to stomp right through it,
Yeah.
So it was a hard encounter, and they were fighting their way through it, and my wife decided to cast heat metal on the guy's armor, on the gladiator's armor. It really wasn't a gladiator. He was a heavily armored individual. I was using a gladiator stat block. So that took him out of the fight. He immediately started running away, trying to rip off his chainmail, which kind of made me think. I understand that it takes 10 minutes.
Which is stupid.
Equip plate mail. Okay.
Plate, maybe. Okay.
Right. And I think it's 5 minutes for scale mail. Okay. When I go to the LARP, I have my my armor, and I used to wear a bigger kind of like scale mail chest piece as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I put on my big thick padded coat, and I got my shoulder pad and my gauntlets and stuff like that. It takes me 5-10 minutes to get everything set up, and I'm also including in makeup time. All right?
Yep.
Why in the fuck does it take 1 minute to put on a chain shirt?
Yeah, a chain shirt. I have personally owned and worn a chain shirt. And you know how long it takes to put on? About as long as it takes to put on a fucking t-shirt.
Right. And then you put on your belt, and then you're done.
Yeah. Now chain mail, that's a whole other ordeal, because that's the leggings and the full arms and everything. Like, it's a bit more. I don't know what is the time for chainmail. Is it 10 minutes also in the game?
1 minute.
1 minute.
I think it was 1 minute or 5 minutes. I think scale was 5, and chainmail shirt was 1 minute.
Yeah, like chainmail shirt, it's literally 15 seconds. It's so stupidly simple.
It's 2 rounds, right?
Yeah.
2 rounds, 3 rounds. You got to undo your belt, rip off the chain shirt. If your gloves are in the way, maybe.
It's even quicker to take it off. You just lean forward and throw your arms up, and it fucking comes off. Like, it's literally one round.
Yeah. And like I've seen chainmail burst too, where just like you just rip it off like you're fucking Hulk Hogan.
Yeah, that's not good chainmail
No.
though.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah, that's that cheap shit. That's Wish chainmail.
So they now have a villain that got away that I now have to create a villain block for. That's very anti-drow, and you know. You can't let people run away. They become static NPCs. Then.
Oh, then that's absolutely true. And if you go in and burn down a village, you kill everybody. Everybody.
You kill everybody, but you always leave one Jawa.
No, you kill them all, because if you don't, they will come back in 18 levels as an anti-paladin hunting you down.
The Jawa won't do that. Jawas never do that. There's no Jawa out there that has made any kind of adventuring ever in all of existence and time. So when you burn a village down, you can leave one Jawa behind and make sure he knows to tell everybody that you fucking did it. He won't come back. He'll try to steal your shit because he's a Jawa and sell it back to you.
Yeah.
Like, he's not going to come try to stab you. That's just no.
Yeah, but as soon as you park your ship anywhere, it's going to get stripped to the rims, man. You're going to come back, it's going to be sitting on blocks.
That is like one of my favorite scenes from The Mandalorian. I think it was season 2, where they stole his ship, like warp drive, and brought it out. I was like, "Hey, you want to buy it?" Or like, put it back.
And sold it back to him.
He's like, "Here's 100 credits. Put it back."
Like, fucking hell, man.
But like, I've always liked those races in the different role playing games. Like, you have the Ferengi in Star Trek that are kind of the same way.
The Gully.
They are going to steal and wheel and deal with you.
Yeah.
So you have to do it back, or they'll hate you, and they'll just steal your shit.
Oh, with Ferengi especially, it is part of their culture. If you are not willing to play in with that, man, they don't want anything to do with you.
Yeah. John was the same way. He stole your speeder. Just give him 15 credits of it, and maybe he blew some dust out. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, Gully dwarves are kind of the same way from Dragonlance. They're not nearly as intelligent as like the Ferengi were about it. I don't know about the Jawas, but yeah, they're scavengers. They're going to take your shit. Don't leave it sitting around.
Hey, did you leave that donut behind? What donut? Exactly.
Yep.
I've always wanted to see what a Jawa looks like underneath the hood.
And everybody does.
It's a great mystery of the universe.
Yeah. I was running a Star Wars campaign a while back, right around the time COVID started up. And unfortunately, that's sort of what killed the campaign. But one of my players was playing a Jawa, and goddamn, he was just as annoying as a Jawa.
Right around screaming, "It's him!"
Yeah. Yep. Just wanting to steal everything that wasn't tied down. Yeah, I'm sad we only got to play a couple of sessions. Is that? When we did the 5e one, like me, you, and Lloyd, and everybody, I don't think we had anyone playing a Jawa in our group, did we?
No.
It's kind of a shame.
It's really kind of hard for me personally to play a race like that, because I really don't steal a lot of stuff unless I'm playing Skyrim for some reason. Like, once I played that kind of game, it's like, oh, it's not bolted down. I'm a Hoover vacuum now. Everything's coming.
Yeah, obviously, I played Baldur's Gate 3 with you. I know.
But the second, like, you put me in a tabletop setting where, like, there's stuff everywhere, I don't care. Like, what do I have to carry? I'm only carrying that.
Yeah, I'm kind of the same way. Like, I'll happily play a rogue, and it's not that Jay has a problem with playing a character that steals, but it's not really part of the whatever storyline we're going through. Yeah, just like randomly pilfering things doesn't benefit me or the party.
Yeah, that's why I would really like to see a subclass of rogue that the stuff that they pilfer during combat increases their sneak attack value. So you could play that guy who's kind of like crawling underneath the tables, stealing shit from the wizard while everyone's fighting and distracting him, and then gets that one stab in with 8 times the sneak attack die they would normally have.
It's like from the I guess it was the first Conan movie
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
That thief. Yeah.
yeah. The dude who's like hiding under a table while Conan kills 6 dudes, and then at the end, he after he's looted the chest, he hops out and stabs a dude for 85 damage.
Exactly. Like that. That is the picture perfect. Like that is the rogue I would want to actually try to play. I don't want any of this fucking like. I have a tragic backstory, so I'm an assassin with a scar over my eye. No, none of this shit. You are not an assassin. You're raised on it with a noble family, and you're just a little bitch.
Yeah.
You just like to stab people because you don't understand consequences. That's not the character I want to play.
Yeah, you grew up with nepotism. Here you are as an adult.
I had to work one day at the farm. It sucked, and that's why I became a rogue, so I could adventure and live free. Wow, one day in the farm, huh?
Yep. It's so much easier to just take people's things.
That's what my father did with the economy. Now I'm just taking everything else I can find.
So anyway, so this other thing that I picked up, a fistful of Draculas.
Oh yeah. Hi.
I have to at least talk about this on here, man. And I have
the first great product of 2024.
Oh no, this is product of the year.
Well, it's January, man. That's a hard comment to make. It's definitely in the top 10, probably the top 5. Let's just say that.
To be fair, it is the beginning of the year, but I'm already giving it number 1. Like it's top thing of the year. It's top thing of last year too.
Yeah.
Because technically it came out last year. It's 2023 item.
Yeah, but you didn't touch it until 2024, so that's how it counts.
Yeah. But it's called A Fistful of Draculas. And let me read the subtitle: A TTRPG about Dracula surviving in the Old West by Nate Bronner. And I found our buddy Christian linked this to us on Drive Through RPG, and I immediately paid the full price for it because it's a pay what you want. And it's stupidly simple. Like it's literally 4 pages of rules. And then just it's got 7 character sheets for the 7 different for the 7 classes you can pick, and each one is a little bit different. I'm not going to go through the entire details of this thing because I've barely read through it myself. I've been busy, but effectively, you're playing a Dracula, not a vampire. You're playing a fucking Dracula,
as you do,
in a spaghetti western, and the whole goal is to just survive in the Old West. The whole system is just 2d6 and add some stats, so fairly simple. And you've got Dracula powers, which you have a blood pool of up to 7, and you get more blood back by doing what Draculas do. You feed on people, and the I can hear you over there just sort of giggling about this whole fucking thing.
Well, it was like, do pigs work?
No, it actually does. It does specify in here human.
Oh.
So no, you can't go feed on a pig.
Pigs are mostly human.
Yep, but it's got to be a human. Can't be a chimpanzee. Yeah, got to be a human.
It's pronounced chimpanzee.
Oh, chimpanzee, orangutan.
Yep.
But Draculas have certain powers. You have the supernatural speed, strength, and senses. The ability to manipulate weather, command animals, charm people, detect thoughts, levitate, or turn to smoke. But all of those can depend upon which class you are. You might not have access to all of them, depending on which class.
I think you skipped over the best part about it is what their stats are. Because for me, a good stat system is what sells a game. Like you have the traditional Dungeons and Dragons with strength, dex, con, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma. You have the Fallout, which pretty much has the same thing, but they call it special.
Yep.
And that's very memorable and it works. So what are the stats?
Honestly,
go backwards, but read off the stats.
Let's be fair. You only actually care about one stat that's in this list of 7 stats, and that's the first one. The first stat that you get is violence, which is it's used for attacks. Anytime you try to hurt someone, that's what you're rolling on. They have vigor, nature, wits, bluff, prowl, and command. Vigor, that's your strength, speed, stamina. Nature is dealing with anything outdoorsy or animals. Wits is your mental abilities. That's perception, intelligence, wisdom, willpower. Bluff, that's how you bluff people. Prowl is your stealth skill, and then command, that is your social skills on actually getting people to do things while not lying to them.
I think this is the first time I've seen violence as its own
Oh, agreed.
particular stat.
I've never seen it. Like
which is quite an interesting take too when you think about it, because then you don't have to like, oh, I'm a strength barbarian. Oh, you have a lot of strength. Yeah. No, now you can be a very dexterous barbarian. If your violence status high enough, you don't really give a shit.
And it's a simplification of things, because if it doesn't matter what kind of weapon you're using in this game. Is it a chair that you're hitting somebody with? Is it a knife? Is it a gun? Doesn't matter. You're just rolling on violence because you're trying to hurt somebody.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
And like that's clean. It's simple, and for a game that only has 4 pages of rules, it fucking works.
Yeah, definitely.
Naturally, however, Draculas also have weaknesses, and they do. Most of these you're going to know, though. Direct sunlight, crucifixes, holy water, fire, garlic, silver bullets, and mirrors don't reflect you. I noticed they didn't go with running water, though.
That's one that's kind of fallen out of the mythos.
Mm-hmm.
I know that's who was the lady that wrote a bunch of vampire novels back in the early 2000s.
Anne Rice.
Yeah, she was big with that and stuff like that, but it kind of fell out. Like we put the Blade and Twilight and stuff like that. No one talks about running water being an issue. No one talks about not being buried in your own soil as an issue. I do like that sunlight doesn't just kill you.
Yeah,
it just minus one all stats.
Yep, and I do like that it says hats and shade don't protect you from this. The other one, the while the sun is high, Dracula powers cost extra blood, and then it even says roughly 11 a.m. to 3 p.m.
It's 10:59. I'm using my blood power before it costs one more blood.
Yep.
Silver bullets has always been weird. Like, to me, that's always just werewolves. Not really. I know silver's supposed to be the purest metal and hurt and stuff like that. Hurt undead.
It was always silver crucifixes is what they didn't like. Crucifixes in general, but silver crucifixes were supposed to be even more potent
because the metal was pure.
Right.
I don't know where silvers from werewolves came from.
I think that's always been a thing.
Yeah, but I don't know what caused that.
Yeah, that's truthfully. Yeah, I don't know. Like, Dracula is an easy enough myth to follow back because Bram Stoker created Dracula. He created the idea of vampires. But werewolves, that's an old tale. Like, that's thousands of years old. So who the fuck knows where the silver bullets thing came from, or just silver in general against werewolves?
And where did fire and Frankenstein come in? Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah, Mary Shelley.
Right there, yeah.
So real quick, I'll go over the archetypes that the game has, and I like all of them. They're very tropey, and it's okay. But you get the gunslinger, which everybody wants to be. You got the gambler, the bounty hunter, the con artist, the veteran, the cowboy, and the kid. And the kid as a vampire's got to suck because we've seen what was the Anne Rice one that they did, Interview with Vampire. And you had that young girl who was a fucking vampire who was 100 years old or whatever.
Yeah, it just gets creepy.
Yeah, it's just weird. So in this case, you're a forever youth struggling to be taken seriously. You'll prove yourself if it kills you or them.
I'm surprised I don't have a working girl on this list. Maybe that's an expansion.
Yeah.
No, okay, they're all loosely based on characters from the Magnificent Seven, so that makes sense.
Yeah. Notice that. Yeah, there's 7 archetypes. Makes perfect sense.
There's always that 8th archetype, though. It's just the
working girl.
The working girl. There's a word that begins with C. I can't remember.
I don't know. Prostitute.
Prostitute.
Yeah.
No, it's not prostitute because that's too on the nose.
But anyway, check if anyone's looking for something fun, easy, and a little silly to run. You can find a fistful of Draculas on Drive-Thru RPG. As I said, it's a pay what you want. Suggested was $2. I paid $4 for it, and I'm definitely going to be running this for my players sometime soon.
Yeah,
it's going to be great.
There's enough work into this product that you definitely need to pick it up just to have it, and you should be able to run it very quickly. It's, like you said, it's 4 pages. They give you all the character sheets. They're easy to print out on a piece of paper, So just go buy it. The link's on our podcast chat on our Discord, so easy to get there, and just give it a buy.
Yep, because vampires and spaghetti westerns.
Yep, and then just watch Magnificent Seven or watch Fistful of Dollars.
I'm sorry, Dracula's in a spaghetti western. Not the same thing.
They are very different.
Yeah, very, very different than vampires.
Don't want to mix them up.
Yeah, my brother is actually watching Magnificent Seven this week, oddly enough.
Yeah, there's a Seven Samurai anime that I watched years ago when I was a kid that I really liked. Before I knew that Seven Samurai was a thing.
Yep.
And everyone has their own version of it.
Yeah, I actually watched the original Seven Samurai movie earlier or last year, middle of last year. I had never actually seen it before.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I'd never seen the original Seven Samurai movie. I've seen Magnificent Seven many times, Return of the Magnificent Seven many times, and all of the other clones that take from it. But I hadn't actually seen the original one until then.
You know what I want to see? I want to see the inverse happen with the Hateful Eight. So if the Magnificent Seven is the copy of Seven Samurai, I want to see a samurai copy of the Hateful Eight.
That'd be awesome.
I think it'd be really cool. Yeah.
I actually went to the theaters and saw the Hateful Eight.
Yeah, that was a really good movie. You know the guitar scene, right?
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's so sad. It's so great.
Yeah, most Tarantino films are exactly what you just said. Terrible and great.
It's going to be a good year, I think. We got a lot of stuff to do. You got to write a whole RPG system this year.
I do.
I got to write 19 different modules. And then I got to stop spending all my money on Pokemon cards.
Yeah. But hey, you've been doing pretty well with that lately,
Well, I mentioned that I went and bought the 2 things from Xenergy at the beginning of the podcast. I didn't tell you what my wife bought. All right.
All right.
So we show up today, and
it was the Dark Elf statue.
No, it wasn't the Dark Elf statue. I don't go to that store normally.
Oh, okay.
I went to Xenergy, our sponsors and hosts and
yep.
Great friends. And my wife didn't want to go. I basically pulled her there because we just went to Carrabba's, and she's like, "I'm full. I want to go home." And I'm like, "Okay, I understand, but we're going here anyways. We promised our daughter." So we get there, and I kind of turn around and I show her. It's like, "Hey, Shelly, look at this bag on the wall." And what it is, it's a giant kind of like computer tote bag, all right? But it's also a DM bag, but it's a mimic. Ooh. So it looks like you have like this giant like tote bag in the shape of a mimic, and it has like its tongue as the zipper. So like his tongue is there, and his mouth opens up, and you can reach inside and like pull stuff out. It's an amazing mimic bag, and it's licensed from D&D.
Okay.
It was like only about $100, and it's a very well made bag. Oddly enough, because you would think that they would cut the corners on that,
Yeah.
But it's a great bag, and she got it, and she's going to start playing Adventures League again. So that's her bag now to bring to Adventures League. And
no, that's awesome. Like I really, as much as I complain about a lot of the shit that WotC does, I don't mind them releasing that kind of merch. Because sometimes I see things like that, and I'm like, man, that's just awesome. I really want it. And in this case, your wife saw it, and it's like, I really need that.
They have a what is it, Mordenkainen's tower, Obsidian Tower, or something like that. I can't remember the name of the spell.
Magnificent Mansion.
Yes, Mordenkainen's Magnificent Mansion, which is basically, was it a 50-foot tower or 100-foot tower?
No, it's like 20 feet tall, man.
Oh, so it's bigger than that.
No, magnificent. It's literally a mansion. So I guess 20 to 40 feet, just depending.
No, what's the magic item that has it just summons an obsidian tower from the sky?
Oh, the fucking. Oh my god, I should know this. Shit. Yeah, I know, right? One of my players is always using that thing, or always used to use one of them, and now I don't remember the name of it. D&D magic item tower. Now it's probably Darren's Instant Fortress.
Okay, you can get that as a dice tower as well.
Oh, that's cool.
It's the exact shape that it looks like from the 5e artwork.
Yeah, okay. I'm looking at the picture right now. It's 30 feet high.
I keep seeing it. I'm like, I really want that. I don't know why. I don't even like dice towers. Why do I want this?
Yeah, that's dice towers. That's not for me.
Not only is it a dice tower, but it's a fucking mini.
Yeah.
You know,
so like, is it actually the right size?
Yes, it is. It is scaled perfectly.
Oh, okay.
For the table, just like boom, there it is.
You have to buy it now.
I know. I just can't justify it. I'm sitting here like, damn, I really want that. I don't want to give it to any players because I don't want them to start dropping it on monsters and try the instant KO. Like that BS.
You can always say it doesn't work. You can always say
I can't say that. I can't. I want it to happen just as much as I want them to tell them no, that can't happen.
Yeah.
You can't summon a 500-ton obsidian tower on top of a red dragon. It doesn't work.
Let's see. It wouldn't kill. Each creature in the area where the fortress appears makes DC 15 Dex save, taking 10d10 bludgeoning on a fail.
I know, but that's if you summon it and you assume that you summon it on the ground and it spreads open.
Yeah.
That's not how you summon that.
Hey,
throw that thing into the sky.
That's it in the rules.
Yes.
You can always say rules is written. This is what it does.
But again, that's if you set it down and it gets bigger, because then it's every creature in that area where it expands. But you throw it into the sky and it forms up there in the sky, and then you have a tower made of adamantine just falling on top of something.
Uh-huh.
All right. You're talking about hundreds and hundreds of tons. That thing is instantly dead.
Yeah, except in the rules it says DC 15 Dex save, take D10 bludgeoning. That's what it would do.
No. There's a difference between appearing and taking damage and falling on top of you. Two separate things.
Well, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
That being said, okay, cool. You killed the dragon. You probably also destroyed your tower because it actually can take damage.
It's made of adamantine.
No,
it's indestructible.
No, it isn't. It actually has hit points and can be destroyed.
Yeah, but you got to get past its resistance. What's the resistance on adamantine? Like 1,000?
No, falling damage. It would take falling damage. The roof, the door, the walls have 100 hit points. Immunity to damage from non-magical weapons, including siege weapons, and resistance to all other damage. So it has resistance to whatever falling damage it would take. Only a wish spell can repair the fortress.
It's bludgeoning damage, and that bludgeoning damage is non-magical damage.
It's the werewolf argument all over again.
Werewolves.
Because remember what happens if a werewolf falls off of a cliff? And we're not rehashing that discussion on here because I don't even remember what my stance was on it back then.
So, if a werewolf can only be killed by a silver blade.
Bye, Craig.